Hi, everybody. So this is your midweek update for week 12. And once again, Eric is not with me this week, so I am standing in for both of us, but he may do the midweek update next week. I know he's been very engaged in the class all week. We've been talking about what's going on in here, and he's really happy with all the work you're doing. Essay 3 at this point should be returned to you. So if you're not seeing it for some reason, reach out to us and we'll make sure that we get that graded. Occasionally people turn them in the wrong assignments folder or put them somewhere in the class where we can't find. And so if you didn't get something back from us, reach out to us because it could be that you turned it in a different place and we don't know to look there. So just let us know. As a whole, we were super happy with how everybody did on essay 3. That is, I think, the most challenging essay assignment we do in the course. And so you should give yourselves a big pat on the back. And collectively, as a whole class, we were just super happy. We thought you hit it out of the park as a group. And so nice work. We saw a lot of awesome revision going on between the earlier draft and the later draft. So you should feel really good about that. I'm not going to say that what we're doing for the last few weeks of the class is any less important because I think in terms of content, it's still very important, but it's probably not going to feel as high stakes to you because we're not working up to quite as big of an essay as we were with that last one. So that should feel like a relief. So some other things that I'll just speak to quickly in the course right now, you're doing some work on feminist ethics. I love feminist ethics. And I will just say that I think what it was hard for me to grasp at first, maybe it took me a little while to understand, is that feminist ethics is not necessarily a theory in and of itself. It's more a critique of the existing theories. And so I think what happened is feminists came in, not necessarily women, but men and women, who were really concerned with the black and white nature of a lot of the Western philosophical, logical approaches to ethics. And I think that they wanted to shake things up a little bit and to challenge the idea that we could apply these generalizations or black and white rules to all people in all situations. I think what feminists are really trying to point out, feminist ethicists are trying to point out, is that we can't peel apart situations from the very real people who exist in those situations or the very real relationships that exist within those situations. And so this whole idea of an ethics of care means we have to take those qualities of relationship, loving, caring, friendship, all of those things do matter and they should be part of our ethical equations, not, just treating people as math problems as comes up in the chapter that you read. So what are we doing this week? You are participating in this Heinz dilemma discussion in here. And as Eric always does, I've read through all these and they're really interesting, but Eric, I know, will look at them over the weekend and he'll probably send you all an email with some screencast feedback just to kind of guide you in the development of your thinking about this. So you can look for that, but you're also having some open discussions. I saw the first one was not really as popular this time. This one was more popular. And if you haven't been in there yet, do take some time. It's Friday, but I'm sorry, it's Thursday, so you only have a day, but maybe you can get in there a little bit and jump in. There's some really interesting conversations happening in here. I'm not surprised that things are getting a little contestable in here. People have very different opinions about how far we should extend our sphere of concern. And so I think, things get a little real and we're having some exchanges about how we really feel and what we really think. And I think everyone's doing a really nice job in here. So go ahead and take some time to jump in there if you haven't already. What else is going on? Okay, so I will talk about something you did last week that I thought was awesome, and that was your database research. Okay, and so here's that database research right there. I am so happy because everybody successfully found an article and read it, wrote about it, posted it, shared it with the class. Such an interesting range of things that you all dug up. I was, I shouldn't say surprised, I thought it was fascinating that at least 4 people, I think, found stuff that had to do with Peter Singer. I think Amber, Dan, Patricia, and Crystal all read something that spoke to Peter Singer and his beliefs. And we don't get, maybe like one student will find something on Singer. So I was surprised by how much was coming up on Singer. And I'm glad that you did this additional research because Singer is a really, I mean, he's a famous philosopher. He's a famous ethicist who's, I believe he's still teaching at Princeton University. A lot of the philosophers we study are long dead. And so here's somebody who's still alive, who's still writing books, who's still putting ideas out there. And he's very hotly debated in terms of his ideas. But he is very much a utilitarian. And he's somebody who is really trying to put these ideas, he's trying to solidify these into actionable behaviors. And some of those behaviors just really come across as kind of cold or, I don't know, dark maybe to some people. But this is exactly what the feminist critique is pushing up against. It's this idea of we can't take the human piece away when we're making ethical calculations, which sometimes these blanket theories like utilitarianism have a tendency to do. So really interesting ideas that you're all chiming in on in there. Other really interesting stuff. Courtney posted something on volunteering, whether volunteering is really altruism. I think it could also be sophisticated egoism. Self-love and happiness, Yasmin posted on. Randy posted something about ethical egoism in business, which is certainly very relevant in these times. Silvana dug up something really academic and interesting on maybe the connection between psychology and egoism, and maybe that has to do with whether we're wired to be egoists. Some other things that came up, let's see, Becca found something really interesting on young people and their levels of intrinsic motivation and how that's tied to goal setting. So that was really neat. Corinna dug up something actually written by a scientist rather than a philosopher that seemed to be a critique of deontology and utilitarianism, but then that led her to look into some other articles that article was based on. And I think she even stumbled upon some more interesting stuff through that search. So don't be afraid to go back in there if you have time and read some of the other interesting things that your classmates came up with. This is one of my favorite sections of the course because, again, everything else that we do is very set in stone in terms of Eric and I planning it for you. And this is where you get to pull in something that maybe we wouldn't have thought about before. And so really neat stuff. We will have a chance to do more database research later in the course. But let me just highlight for you, or preview for you, I should say, what is coming up in week 13. So this is virtue ethics. This is a theory that a lot of students really like. This is Aristotle, and it won't be completely new to you because the whole semester we've been giving you these open discussions where we ask you to think about the vice of excess and the vice of deficiency, and that is really to prime your thinking around virtue ethics, which is a lot of students, I think, favorite theory. So I don't mean to bias you before you've even studied it, but see what you think. It's definitely different than the other theories. I know you'll have a lot of fun doing the stuff with virtue ethics. And then also, I'll just point out that we have the Essay 4 assignment sheet in here. Essay 4 is a really fun and important essay assignment. Eric and I both wrote our own version of it. You can take a look at it. And this is kind of what we're going to be pointing you toward for the last few weeks of the class. It's really fun. It's really interesting. I think it's personally worthwhile essay to write. So you can get in and take a look at that. I know I'm spending a long time on this video, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. I just want to thank you for your continued hard work, and hang in there, everyone. There's almost 2 feet of snow outside, so I bet you're not so sad about being quarantined today. But I hope you're staying safe and warm and healthy. And yeah, great job, and reach out to us if you have any questions. Thanks.